Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a skill that quietly shapes pretty much everything we do in our work and in our lives. It's something that actually matters a lot more than just raw brain power. So let's dive right in.
All right, let's start with a really powerful number. Just think about this for a second. 3/4, 75% of careers get derailed, not because someone isn't smart enough, but because of what we call emotional competencies. So what's that really telling us? It's that how we handle ourselves and other people, that's the hidden factor, the game changer.
Okay, so this brings us to a concept we're all pretty familiar with, right? Classic intelligence, or IQ. For ages, we've been told that a high IQ is like the golden ticket to success. But it turns out being book smart has some very real and honestly kind of surprising limits.
So what is classic intelligence anyway? Well, you can think of it as your brain's raw processing power. It's your ability to look at a problem on paper, break it down logically, and figure out an answer. It's exactly what all those standardized tests we took in school were trying to measure. And this is where the picture gets so much clearer. See, in the real world, solving a problem isn't just a thought experiment. Your IQ, it's fantastic for the first two phases, understanding the problem and even designing a solution. But that last step, actually implementing the solution, that's a whole different ballgame. You've got to persuade people, you have to manage their reactions, navigate office politics, and that is where another kind of intelligence comes in.
So if IQ isn't the whole story, then what is? What's that missing ingredient for success? Well, this is where emotional intelligence, or EQ, steps onto the stage. And believe me, it's a powerful partner to our cognitive skills. To put it really simply, emotional intelligence is all about being smart about your feelings. It's not about being illogical or letting emotions run wild. It's the absolute opposite. It's the ability to blend what you think with what you feel, so you can make the best possible decisions. You're using emotional data to steer you toward the right outcome.
And the impact of this? Well, it's just staggering. According to the pioneering researcher Daniel Goleman, our IQ only accounts for about 20% of our success in life. The other 80%, the huge majority, comes from emotional intelligence. Let that sink in. 80%. That is a massive difference.
You've probably heard of this one, the marshmallow test. It's a perfect little window into what EQ looks like in action. The choice is simple for a kid. One treat right now, or if you can just wait 15 minutes, you get two. But what it's really measuring is a core emotional skill, delaying gratification. And what they found, years down the road, was that the kids who could manage that impulse for a bigger reward later on, they were far more successful in life. It's self-control in its purest form.
Okay, so knowing that EQ is vital is one thing, but knowing how to actually build it, that's the important part. So let's break it down into a practical toolkit for your mind using Daniel Goleman's really influential model of 5 key emotional skills.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here with self-awareness. This is the foundation, the bedrock of EQ. It's the ability to actually recognize what you're feeling as it's happening, and then to understand how that feeling affects your thoughts, your behavior, and, crucially, the people around you. If you don't have this, you're basically flying blind.
For a great real-world example, just look at a seasoned athlete like MS Dhoni. He has a very clear, realistic understanding of his body's limits, his strengths, and his weaknesses, and he uses that knowledge to make strategic decisions that benefit the entire team. That right there is self-awareness in action.
So, once you're aware of an emotion, what do you do about it? Well, that leads us right to our second key, self-regulation. This is all about managing those feelings. It's the power to control a disruptive impulse, to pause and think before you speak or act, and to stay composed instead of letting a bad mood dictate your day. This skill, more than almost any other, is what builds trust with people.
Think about a really high-pressure situation, like a CEO getting grilled in a hearing. The ability to stay calm, to manage your own emotional response, and to answer thoughtfully instead of getting defensive, that is an absolute masterclass in self-regulation. It's what separates good leaders from great ones when the heat is on. The third key is all about your inner drive, motivation.
And we're not talking about external stuff here, like a bigger salary or a fancy title. We're talking about that deep, personal passion, that fire in your belly that makes you pursue your goals with energy and persistence, especially when things get tough. It's a drive fueled by optimism and a real hunger to achieve.
You can really see this kind of motivation in public figures who are clearly driven by something more than just their job description. When you see someone pursuing huge reforms with a genuine passion for a bigger cause, you're not just watching someone do a job, you're watching someone on a mission. All right, now we turn our focus outward with the fourth key, empathy. This is the amazing skill of tuning in to how other people are feeling and understanding where they're coming from. It's that ability to, metaphorically step into their shoes and see the world from their perspective. It's absolutely essential for building real connections. Just think about the actions of someone like Sonu Sood during the pandemic. That wasn't just simple charity. It was a response that came from a deep understanding of the fear and the desperation that people were feeling. That profound empathy is what translated into compassionate, effective action that built incredible trust. And that brings us to our fifth and final key, social skills. You can think of this as where all the other pieces come together. It's about taking your self-awareness, your self-regulation, and your empathy and using them to build relationships, to lead change, and to find common ground with pretty much anyone. A program designed specifically to connect with millions of people on a personal level is a really interesting example of social skills applied on a massive scale. It shows how communication can be used not just to broadcast information, but to actually build rapport and create a sense of shared understanding. So we have our 5 keys. We understand what they are, but what does it all actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at how these skills translate directly into the day-to-day practice of being an effective leader. You can see right here how it all connects. A self-aware leader, they know their own strengths and weaknesses. A self-regulated leader isn't making rash, emotional decisions. Motivated leaders, they have incredibly high standards. Empathetic leaders develop their team and actually listen. And leaders with great social skills, they're master communicators who can rally people. See, these aren't just nice-to-have traits. They're the core building blocks of truly great leadership. And, this isn't some new age corporate fad. The challenge of mastering our emotions is an ancient one. Over 2,000 years ago, Aristotle absolutely nailed the essence of emotional intelligence. It's not about not feeling things. It's about feeling the right thing with the right person at the right time and in the right way. That's the hard part. And that really brings us to our final thought, a question for you. Now that you have this toolkit, the real challenge is putting it to use. So how are you going to take these keys and start making your emotions work for you instead of against you? Thanks for watching The Explainer.